The plasma cannon hummed to life in Princess Zara's four-fingered grip, its violet energy core casting deadly shadows across the diplomatic chamber. Queen Elena Martinez didn't flinch as the weapon aimed directly at Ambassador Kresh's crystalline skull. "Your Majesty," Zara's voice carried the musical tones of her species, but ice ran beneath each note. "Order your fleet to withdraw from the Kepler system, or this pathetic insect dies." The Vorthak princess stood barely 4 feet tall, her silver skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with her elevated heart rate. Her large black eyes held no mercy, despite her youth, barely 16 in human years, though already considered an adult by her people's standards. Elena's royal guard tensed. Captain Rodriguez's hand moved toward his sidearm, but Elena raised one finger. The gesture was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it froze her entire security detail in place. Ambassador Kresh's antennae twitched frantically. The insectoid diplomat's compound eyes reflected the cannon's glow as he remained perfectly still, knowing any movement could trigger the weapon's discharge. "Princess Zara!" Elena's voice cut through the chamber's tension like steel through silk. "Lower the weapon. We can discuss this." "Discuss?" Zara's laugh was sharp alien. "Your species murdered my brother during your peaceful occupation. There is nothing to discuss." Elena had read the reports. Prince Vex had died during the evacuation of a Vorthak mining colony that had been caught in the crossfire between human forces and the savage Klarn. The humans had been trying to help, but the young prince had panicked, run into the battle zone, and been killed by Klarn plasma fire. The tragedy had been exactly that, a tragedy, not murder, but grief twisted truth into whatever shape it needed to survive. "Your brother's death was—" "Silence!" The princess's bioluminescent patches flared bright. "I saw your ship's fire on his transport." Elena's mind raced. There had been no human weapons fired at civilian transports, but the Vorthak enhanced their memories with biotechnology, and those systems could be corrupted. Someone had fed this child false memories. The plasma cannon's whine increased in pitch. "Full charge." Ambassador Kresh's mandibles clicked rapidly. A prayer in his native language. "You want my fleet to abandon 7 million human colonists to the Klarn horde," Elena said carefully. "You know they'll all die. As my brother died." Zara's finger moved closer to the firing stud. "Justice." Elena studied the alien princess. Zara's breathing was too fast, her luminescent patches flickering erratically. This wasn't just grief. This was a child pushed beyond her breaking point, probably by adults who saw an opportunity to use her pain as a weapon. Who told you to come here, princess? No one tells me anything." "I am royalty of the Vorthak Stellar Empire." But her patches dimmed slightly. Uncertainty. Elena took a step forward. Her guard shifted, ready to intervene, but she continued moving with deliberate calm. "A plasma cannon set to full charge in an enclosed space will kill everyone in this room," Elena observed, "including you." "I know." Zara's voice was steady, but Elena caught the minute tremor in her weapon hand. "I accept this price." Another step. Elena was now only 10 feet from the cannon's muzzle. "Your brother wouldn't want you to die for his memory." "You know nothing of my brother." "I know he loved you enough to die trying to save others." Elena's voice softened without losing its authority. "The reports say he was helping evacuate a Vorthak nursery when the Klarn attacked. He stayed behind to make sure the younglings escaped first." Zara's patches flickered. Confusion, pain, memory warring with whatever lies she'd been fed. That's not... Her grip on the cannon wavered. Elena saw her opening and pressed forward, but not with force, with truth. "Someone has been feeding you altered recordings, princess. Someone who wanted you angry enough to come here and do this. Someone who benefits if humans in Vorthak go to war." The chamber fell silent except for the plasma cannon's deadly hum. Zara's black eyes searched Elena's face looking for deception, for the lies she'd been taught to expect from humans. Instead, she found only steady compassion and an unshakable certainty that cut through her manufactured rage like sunlight through darkness. "The Klarn," Zara whispered. They wouldn't. They would manipulate a grieving child to start a war between their two greatest enemies, Elena confirmed. They would poison your memories and send you here to destroy yourself and everything your brother died protecting. The plasma cannon's whine began to descend as Zara's finger eased away from the firing mechanism. But she didn't lower the weapon. "Prove it!" she demanded, her voice breaking like the child she truly was beneath all her royal training and manufactured hatred. "Prove they lied to me!" Damn. He understood immediately and began accessing the sealed diplomatic files that would either save this moment or damn them all. The clock was ticking, and the cannon was still charged. Captain Rodriguez's fingers flew across his tactical display, pulling up classified recordings from the Kepler system battle. The holographic projector activated, filling the chamber's center with three-dimensional images of the evacuation. "These are the original sensor logs," Elena explained as the scene unfolded. "No enhancement, no editing. Watch." The projection showed the Vorthak colony under attack. Klarn's ships descended like metal vultures, their weapons carving through defensive positions. Human vessels moved in tight formation, their shields taking devastating hits as they covered evacuation transports. Zara's luminescent patches pulsed rapidly as she watched her brother's transport lift off from the nursery complex. The small ship moved erratically, clearly damaged. "There," she pointed with her free hand. "Your ships pursue him. Keep watching." The human vessels weren't pursuing, they were escorting. Their formation created a protective corridor as Prince Vex's transport struggled toward the evacuation zone. When Klarn fighters broke through the defensive line, the human ships immediately shifted to intercept. "No," Zara whispered. "This isn't what I saw before." Elena's heart clenched at the pain in the young alien's voice. "What did the recordings you were shown look like?" "The human ships, they fired on his transport directly. I saw the plasma impacts. I saw her voice trailed off as the truth blazed across the hologram. A Klarn destroyer emerged from behind a moon fragment, its massive guns already charged. Prince Vex's transport was directly in its path. The human ship closest to the transport, the HMS Valiant, didn't hesitate. Captain Sarah Chen ordered her vessel directly between the Klarn destroyer and the fleeing prince. The Valiant's shields flared brilliant white as they absorbed the devastating blast meant for Vex. But the transport was too damaged. It spiraled out of control, crashing into an asteroid field before the human rescue ships could reach it. "The Valiant," Elena said quietly. "She lost 47 crew members protecting your brother. Captain Chen was among the dead." The plasma cannon trembled in Zara's grip. Her bioluminescent patches had gone completely dark, a sign of profound shock among her people. They saved him. Tried to save him. Tears, impossible but real, tracked down her silver cheeks. "Why did someone lie to me?" "Because war serves their purpose," Elena replied. "The Klarn needed the Vorthak Empire and humanity to destroy each other. They fed you doctored recordings designed to—" "Enough!" The roar came from Ambassador Kresh, but not in his usual diplomatic tones. His voice had dropped to a bass rumble that made the chamber walls vibrate. Elena spun toward him, but the insectoid diplomat was changing. His chitinous shell split open along hidden seams, revealing gray-green skin beneath. His compound eyes merged into two large, predatory orbs. "Klarn shapeshifter," Captain Rodriguez breathed, his weapon already drawn. The creature that had been wearing Ambassador Kresh's form smiled with too many teeth. "The little princess has served her purpose. War comes whether she lives or dies." Zara's plasma cannon swung toward the shapeshifter, but the alien was faster than any insect had a right to be. It lunged across the chamber, claws extending toward the princess's throat. Elena moved without thinking. Her royal training included combat protocols that diplomats never saw. She intercepted the shapeshifter mid-leap, taking its claws across her shoulder as she drove it into the chamber wall. Green blood sprayed across diplomatic tapestries as the creature's claws raked Elena's back. But she held on, keeping her body between it and Princess Zara. "Shoot it!" Rodriguez shouted, but he couldn't get a clear line of fire. The shapeshifter's strength was inhuman. It threw Elena aside like a broken doll and turned back towards Zara, who was frantically trying to adjust her weapon's targeting system. "You cannot stop what has already begun," the creature hissed. "The Klarn fleet jumps to Kepler system in 30 minutes. Your colonies will burn while you play children's games." Elena struggled to her feet, blood streaming from her wounds. "Rodriguez, get word to Fleet Command. Emergency jump to Kepler system. Maximum response. Already done, Your Majesty." He fired 3 shots into the shapeshifter's center mass. The creature staggered but kept moving. Zara finally got her cannon aligned. "For my brother," she whispered, and pulled the trigger. The plasma blast vaporized the shapeshifter instantly, leaving only a scorch mark on the chamber floor. But its words echoed in the sudden silence. 30 minutes. Maybe less? "Princess," Elena said, ignoring the fire in her shoulder. "I need your help." Zara looked up from her cannon, her young face streaked with tears and determination in equal measure. "Tell me what to do." Elena smiled despite the pain in the approaching war. Sometimes the most dangerous demands came from the most unexpected places, and sometimes they were exactly what the universe needed. "Help me save both our peoples." Princess Zara's transformation was remarkable to witness. The grieving, manipulated child vanished, replaced by the tactical mind that came with Vorthak royal bloodline. She moved to the communications console with swift efficiency. "I carry emergency authorization codes for the Vorthak Third Fleet," she said, her fingers dancing across alien interfaces. "They're conducting war games 2 systems away from Kepler." Elena pressed a medical patch to her bleeding shoulder, her mind calculating distances and jump times. How long to reach Kepler? 23 minutes. If they initiate emergency translation now. Zara's patches flared gold, determination rather than anger. "But they won't listen to a human request. They'll listen to their princess." Rodriguez finished coordinating with Fleet Command and turned to Elena. "Admiral Morrison's task force can reach Kepler in 19 minutes, but the Klarn have a 6-hour head start. They could have 40 ships waiting." Helena studied the tactical display Rodriguez projected. The numbers were grim. Even combined, human and Vorthak forces would be outnumbered 3-1. But the Klarn wouldn't expect cooperation between their 2 greatest enemies. "Princess, can your ships cloak?" "Not all of them. Our destroyers can maintain stealth fields for approximately 1 hour. Zara's black eyes gleamed with sudden understanding. "You want to use them as advanced scouts. More than that, I want them to provide targeting data for our long-range missiles while we draw the Klarn fleet into engagement range." It was a desperate plan. Human ships carried superior firepower but limited stealth capability. Vorthak vessels were faster and could disappear from sensors but had lighter armaments. Alone, neither fleet could survive the Klarn ambush. Together, they might have a chance. Zara established contact with Admiral Thex of the Vorthak Third Fleet. The conversation was brief and conducted in rapid musical tones that Elena couldn't follow, but she recognized the cadence of military urgency. "He questions the Alliance," Zara reported. "Many of our people still blame humanity for my brother's death. What did you tell him? The truth." Zara's luminescent patches pulsed steady blue, trust in Vorthak body language. "That we were all deceived. That honor demands we fight beside those who died trying to save Vorthak lives." Elena felt a moment of profound respect for this young alien princess who had come here to commit murder and was now risking her own political future to prevent a war. "Admiral Morrison is requesting direct tactical coordination," Rodriguez reported. "He wants to link our targeting systems." "Risky," Elena mused. "If the Klarn have infiltrated our communications, they already know we're coming," Zara pointed out. "Their shapeshifter reported our plans before we killed it. Coordination gives us our only advantage." She was right. Elena nodded to Rodriguez, who began establishing the joint command link. The next few minutes passed in controlled chaos. Jump calculations, weapons configurations, shield harmonics, 1,000 technical details that would determine whether 7 million colonists lived or died. Elena found herself working alongside Zara as naturally as if they'd been military partners for years. The princess's tactical knowledge was impressive. She understood human weapon systems almost as well as her own ship's capabilities, and her suggestions for coordinated strikes revealed a strategic mind far beyond her years. Your brother would be proud, Elena said during a brief lull in preparations. Zara's patches flickered. Pain, but a clean kind of pain, like a healing wound. He always said that strength came from unity, not dominance. I forgot that lesson until today. A warning tone sounded from the communications panel. Admiral Morrison's face appeared in holographic projection, his weathered features tense with combat preparation. Your Majesty, we're 3 minutes from jump. Request confirmation of battle plan. Confirmed, Admiral. Princess Zara will coordinate with her fleet's stealth units. We go in hard and fast. Maximum aggression. Understood. And Your Majesty, it's been an honor serving under your command. The transmission ended. Elena felt the weight of command settle across her shoulders like a familiar cloak. Thousands of lives depended on the next 20 minutes. Human lives, Vorthak lives, and the future of both species. Your Majesty, Rodriguez said quietly, the medical team is standing by to treat your injuries. Elena looked down at her blood-stained diplomatic gown. The shapeshifter's claws had cut deeper than she'd realized, and she was starting to feel lightheaded from blood loss. After the battle, Captain. Elena. Zara's use of her first name was startling. My people have a saying. A commander who ignores wounds commands only ghosts. Please. Let them help you. The medical team worked quickly, sealing the worst of the lacerations with biofoam and administering stimulants to counter shock. Elena remained conscious and alert, but she could feel her body's reserves running low. 2 minutes to battle, Rodriguez announced. Princess Zara moved to stand beside Elena's command position. Her plasma cannon was holstered now, but Elena noticed she kept her hand near its grip, not from mistrust, but from the habits of someone preparing for war. If we survive this, Zara said softly, my people will need to know the truth about the shapeshifters, about how far the Claren conspiracy reached. When we survive this, Elena corrected. And yes, full disclosure, no more lies, no more manipulation. The chamber's speakers crackled with Admiral Morrison's voice. Translation in 10 seconds. All ships, prepare for immediate combat engagement. Elena gripped the command console, feeling the universe hold its breath around her. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, 2 fleets were about to learn whether cooperation could triumph over deception, whether trust built in desperate moments could overcome years of mistrust. Translation complete. The battle for Kepler system had begun. Admiral Morrison's voice cut through space-time with crystal clarity. Multiple contacts. Claren fleet, 43 ships, spread across 3 defensive formations. They're dug in around the colony worlds. Elena studied the tactical display as data flowed in from both human and Vorthak scouts. The Claren had positioned themselves perfectly to devastate any rescue attempt. Their heavy battleships formed a defensive wall, while fast attack ships lurked near the planets, ready to bombard civilian targets if the battle turned against them. They're using the colonists as shields, Rodriguez observed grimly. Princess Zara's musical voice carried over the command link from the Vorthak flagship. Admiral Thex reports successful stealth penetration. His destroyers are in position behind the Claren fleet. It was working. The enemy had no idea that 47 Vorthak warships had slipped past their sensors and were now painting targets for the combined fleet's missile batteries. Admiral Morrison, are your ships ready? Elena asked. All batteries loaded with synchronized targeting packages. We're ready to light them up on your command. Elena took a breath, feeling the weight of command crystallize into perfect clarity. This was larger than military tactics now. This was about the future of 3 species, about whether cooperation could triumph over the Claren philosophy of conquest through division. Princess Zara, please give Admiral Thex my compliments, and tell him to commence Operation Starfall. Starfall commencing now. The battle erupted in 3 dimensions simultaneously. Vorthak targeting data flowed to human missile batteries, which unleashed coordinated salvos that appeared to come from empty space. The Claren fleet's rear formations disappeared in brilliant flashes as kinetic warheads struck vital systems with surgical precision. But the enemy recovered quickly. Claren commanders were veterans of 100 campaigns, and they adapted to surprises with deadly efficiency. Their surviving ships wheeled toward the human fleet while launching swarms of seeking missiles toward the estimated positions of the Vorthak stealth ships. Incoming fire, Morrison reported. Evasive maneuvers. Elena watched the tactical display as 40 human ships dodged through a maze of plasma fire and guided missiles. The coordination with Zara's fleet was working, but at a cost. 3 human destroyers took critical hits, and 2 Vorthak ships flickered back into visibility as their stealth systems failed under battle damage. They're adapting faster than projected. Elena studied the enemy formations. The Klarn were pulling back towards the colony worlds, forcing the Allies to choose between pressing the attack and risking civilian casualties. Princess, can your ships maintain stealth long enough to evacuate the colonies? Negative. Our transport capacity is insufficient, and the Klarn will detect large-scale civilian movement. A new problem. 43 Claren ships were becoming 50 as reinforcements arrived from deeper in the system. The enemy had been prepared for this moment far longer than anyone had realized. "Your Majesty," came Admiral Morrison's voice, tight with stress. "We're receiving a transmission from the Klarn flagship." Elena nodded. "Put it through." The face that appeared on the main display was distinctly humanoid, but wrong in subtle ways. Gray skin stretched too tight over sharp bones, and black eyes held no possibility of mercy. "I am War Commander Thaklon of the Klarn Ascendancy," the alien said in perfect standard. "You have walked into our trap willingly. Surrender now, or we will execute every human and Vorthak civilian in this system." Elena stepped forward so the alien could see her clearly. "War Commander, I am Queen Elena Martinez of the Human Federation. I have a counteroffer." Thaklon's lipless mouth curved in what might have been amusement. "You are hardly in a position to negotiate, Your Majesty." On the contrary, Elena smiled with the confidence that had made her a queen. "You made one critical error in your planning. And what is that?" Elena's smile widened. "You assumed we came here to fight you." Confusion flickered across the War Commander's features. Behind Elena, Princess Zara was working furiously at her console, coordinating something with her fleet. "While you were positioning your ships to slaughter civilians," Elena continued, "we were evacuating them. Princess Zara's people are rather good at stealth operations when they choose to be." Thaklon's face darkened as his tactical officers fed him new information. Elena could see the moment he realized the truth. The colonies were empty. Every human civilian had been evacuated by Vorthak transport ships during the first phase of the battle. The enemy's leverage had just evaporated. "Impossible. Our sensors show no movement patterns consistent with evacuation." "Your sensors show what we wanted them to show," Zara said, her voice carrying over the communication link. "Holographic projections, artificial heat signatures, and electromagnetic decoys, basic Vorthak infiltration techniques." War Commander Thaklon's composure cracked. This was planned," improvised. Elena corrected. "But yes, we've been coordinating our efforts since the moment your shapeshifter revealed your timeline. You gave us just enough warning to save every life you thought you could use against us." The tactical display showed the truth of their deception. While the Klarn had been positioning their fleet to threaten colonies, Vorthak stealth ships had been methodically evacuating the entire civilian population to safe jump points beyond the system. Elena felt a moment of profound satisfaction as she watched the enemy's perfect trap become a perfect disaster. "Now, War Commander," she continued, "you have 43 ships facing 67 Allied vessels, with no hostages and no strategic advantage. I suggest you withdraw." But Thaklon wasn't finished. His black eyes glittered with desperate fury as he made the choice that would define the next century of galactic history. "If we cannot have victory, we will have vengeance. All ships ramming target the human flagship." The War Commander's transmission ended abruptly as the Klarn fleet abandoned all formation discipline and dove directly toward Admiral Morrison's task force with suicidal determination. Elena felt her blood turn to ice as 43 alien warships accelerated far beyond safe limits, their engines glowing white-hot with overload. The Klarn were willing to destroy their entire fleet just to eliminate her and break the human-Vorthak alliance. "All ships, emergency evasion." Morrison's voice was steady despite the impossible odds. "Disperse formation and prepare for close-quarters battle." But the numbers were clear. Even with perfect coordination, some of those ramming ships would get through. The human flagship would be destroyed. along with hundreds of crew members in any hope of continued alliance between their peoples. Princess Zara's voice cut through the chaos. Admiral Thex, execute Sunrise Protocol. All stealth ships, full revelation. Elena didn't understand Vorthak military terminology, but she could see the results on the tactical display. Every Vorthak ship in the system dropped its stealth field simultaneously and lit up their engines to maximum output. 47 silver vessels materialized around the Claren fleet like avenging angels, their weapons already charged and targeting solutions locked. The aliens had been so focused on their suicide run that they hadn't noticed the invisible net closing around them. "This is for Prince Vex," Zara whispered, and gave the order to fire. Space erupted in synchronized destruction. Vorthak plasma cannons, human missile batteries, and concentrated particle beams converged on the Claren fleet from every angle. Simultaneously, the enemy ships, already weakened from their overloaded engines, simply disintegrated under the coordinated assault. It was over in 37 seconds. Elena stared at the tactical display, watching debris clouds expand where 43 warships had been moments before. The silence in the command center was absolute until Admiral Morrison's voice returned. "All enemy contacts eliminated. Coalition forces report minimal casualties." A pause. "Your Majesty, that was the most perfect ambush I've ever witnessed." Elena turned to Princess Zara, who was staring at her console with wide black eyes, as if she couldn't quite believe what they had accomplished. "Princess," Elena said quietly, "your people just saved my fleet." "Your people saved my honor," Zara replied. "I came here today planning to commit murder. Instead, I learned the meaning of alliance." The communication panel chimed with incoming messages from across both fleets. Human and Vorthak commanders requesting permission to coordinate search and rescue operations, to share medical resources, to begin planning joint patrols against remaining Claren infiltrators. Elena felt something profound shift in the galaxy's balance. The Claren had tried to use a grieving child's pain to destroy two civilizations. Instead, they had forged an alliance that would stand for generations. "Rodriguez," Elena said, "open a channel to all ships, human and Vorthak." She straightened despite her wounds, feeling the weight of history settling around her shoulders. What she said next would be recorded, analyzed, and remembered for centuries. "To all commanders and crews of the Allied fleet, today we have proven that cooperation is stronger than deception, that trust can overcome manipulation, and that the future belongs to those who choose to build it together." She paused, meeting Princess Zara's luminescent gaze. "Let this battle be remembered not for the enemies we destroyed, but for the alliance we created." Across two fleets and two species, voices rose in acknowledgement and agreement. The war the Claren had tried to start was over before it could truly begin. The universe, Elena realized, had just become a much more interesting place. 6 months later, Elena stood in the same diplomatic chamber where it had all begun, but the room had been transformed. Vorthak bioluminescent art curved along walls decorated with human stellar cartography, creating a fusion of aesthetics that shouldn't have worked but somehow achieved perfect harmony. Princess Zara entered without fanfare, her official diplomatic escort maintaining respectful distance. The young Vorthak had grown in confidence and wisdom since their first meeting, her luminescent patches now displaying the steady gold of mature authority rather than the volatile flashing of grief and rage. "Your Majesty," Zara said formally, then smiled with genuine warmth. "Elena, the Council has ratified the final treaty provisions." Elena felt a weight she hadn't realized she was carrying lift from her shoulders. 6 months of careful negotiation, cultural exchange, and trust building had led to this moment. The Human Federation and the Vorthak Stellar Empire were now formally allied, with joint defense agreements, trade partnerships, and collaborative research initiatives. "And the memorial?" Zara's expression grew solemn. "Prince Vex Memorial Station will be constructed at the Kepler system's primary jump point, a monument to those who died in the evacuation, both human and Vorthak. Captain Chen's family has agreed to the dedication ceremony. It was appropriate. The station would serve as a reminder of the sacrifices that had made their alliance possible, and as a warning to other species who might attempt to manipulate grief into hatred. There's something else," Zara continued. Intelligence reports suggest the Claren were not acting independently. Our combined investigation teams have identified at least 3 other species that were manipulated into conflicts by shapeshifter infiltration. Elena nodded grimly. The Clarn conspiracy had been vast, with tentacles reaching across the galaxy. But their exposure at Kepler's system had begun unraveling their entire network of deception. The Andorian Trade Confederation wants to join our intelligence sharing agreement, Elena noted, and the Hegemony of Worlds has requested observer status at our next military exercises. Captain Rodriguez entered with a security briefing tablet, but stopped short when he saw the Vorthak princess. Even 6 months later, he still seemed amazed by the transformation from would-be assassin to trusted ally. "Captain," Elena said with amusement, "Princess Zara won't try to shoot Ambassador Kresh again?" "The real Ambassador Kresh?" Zara corrected with her musical laugh. "Though I did apologize extensively for the misunderstanding. They had found the genuine Kresh imprisoned in a Claren facility, replaced so perfectly that even his own staff hadn't detected the substitution. The rescue operation had been one of the new alliance's first joint military actions, and its success had cemented trust between human and Vorthak forces. "Your Majesty," Rodriguez reported, "Admiral Morrison's task force has completed the patrol of the Tau Ceti border regions. No sign of Clarn activity, but they did encounter something interesting." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Define interesting." "A distress signal from an unidentified species. Their ship was damaged, engines failing, life support critical. Admiral Morrison provided assistance, and it turns out they're representatives of something called the Peaceful Worlds Coalition. Never heard of them." "Neither had we," Zara interjected. "But my intelligence services have since identified them. They're a confederation of 6 species that have been hiding from galactic politics for over 2 centuries. Apparently, they've been watching our alliance with great interest." Elena felt the familiar thrill of new possibilities. The galaxy kept revealing new layers, new complexities, new opportunities for cooperation or conflict. "They've requested a meeting," Rodriguez continued. "Diplomatic contact. Full formal protocols. They specifically asked for both human and Vorthak representatives to attend. Our reputation precedes us," Elena mused. "When and where?" "Neutral space, Epsilon Eridani system, 2 weeks from now. Admiral Morrison recommends a joint diplomatic mission." Elena looked to Zara, who nodded immediately. "The Council of Matriarchs has already authorized my participation in any such mission. We're curious about these peaceful worlds." The intercom chimed with an incoming message from Elena's personal staff. "Your Majesty, the documentary crew is ready for your interview about the Kepler incident." Elena sighed. The battle had become legendary across both species, and everyone wanted to hear the official account. Books, documentaries, educational programs, even a few rather dramatic holographic recreations that took significant liberties with the actual events. "Tell them 5 minutes, she replied. Zara's patches flickered with amusement. "Still uncomfortable with fame? I prefer my victories to speak for themselves rather than requiring endless explanation." Elena moved toward the chamber's viewing port, which offered a spectacular view of Earth's orbital platforms, though I admit the recruitment benefits have been substantial. It was true. Applications to both the Human Federation's diplomatic corps and the Vorthak Stellar Navy had increased dramatically following the Kepler incident. Young people from both species wanted to be part of the alliance that had achieved the impossible. "Princess," Elena said thoughtfully, "there's something I've been meaning to ask you." "Yes, that moment when you aimed the plasma cannon at me, were you actually planning to fire?" Zara was quiet for a long moment, her luminescent patches cycling through complex patterns that Elena had learned indicated deep thought. "I don't know," Zara finally admitted. "The hatred was real, but so was the doubt. Part of me hoped you would give me a reason not to pull the trigger, and if I hadn't, then 7 million colonists would have died, and our peoples would be at war." Zara met Elena's eyes directly. "I almost destroyed everything because I believed a lie. That's a responsibility I carry every day." Elena placed a hand on the young alien's shoulder. "You also saved everything once you learned the truth. That takes remarkable courage." A chime indicated the documentary crew was ready. Elena straightened her formal diplomatic attire and prepared to tell the story one more time, for the cameras and for history. But as she walked toward the interview chamber, She reflected on how much had changed since that terrifying morning when a grief-stricken princess had nearly started a war. The galaxy was still dangerous. The Klarn network still had agents throughout civilized space. Other threats lurked in the darkness between stars, waiting for opportunities to strike. But for the first time in generations, two major species stood together as allies rather than competitors, and their alliance was attracting others who sought cooperation over conquest. Elena smiled as she faced the cameras. This story, at least, had a happy ending, and she had the distinct feeling it was just the beginning.